Who was Charlie Kirk to you?
First of all, he was a Christian. Second of all, he was someone who was trying to get America back on the right track spiritually.
It means rebirth and refreshing of the constitutional and the conservative right.
A patriot and a Christian and a teacher. He became more powerful than he could ever dreamed of being.
Charlie Kirk helped me navigate a hard world with my 12-year-old daughter. He prepared the way for me to have conversations that I wouldn't have been able to have. My mom would always talk about politics, and I could not stand it. And Charlie Kirk actually helped me become, I'd say, more of a conservative.
In my opinion and our family's opinion, he just kind of led us down a greater path of, like, biblically in our faith and Christianity.
He was just a very smart guy, and everything he said was brought back to the Bible, which I love. A lot of people at my school were talking about how sad it was, like, after the assassination. So yeah, a lot of people, young people, were affected by it too.
It's so important to our country is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
Yeah. No, he's not wrong. And the problem is that even when these things happen, even when you can kind of see, a lot of the cultural trends that would say, hey, something bad could happen at any point in time, you don't see the people in charge of certain different groups and everything, talking it down, trying to cool the temp, do the way Charlie did it, bring people to the table, talk out the disagreements, and that's the best way to do it.
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide.
Yeah. We dealt with that even at the vigil that we went to in Idaho. I mean, very peaceful. We were all praying, singing. I had my 12-year-old there who wanted to go, and in a matter of minutes, it turned violent.
Who provoked it, just to clarify?
Actually, it was the leader of Black Lives Matter in Idaho. And this guy came by on a bike and started yelling and screaming and got a couple of his little crew members with him, and then we did a little bit of research and found out it's pretty common for him.
When people stop talking, that's when you get violent. What do you think?
That's who he was. He would debate anybody in a peaceful manner to come to try to convince people of his belief.
Yeah, I didn't really realize the hatred toward him until he was killed. I just appreciate, like I say, his patience, the love that he showed all these people that he spoke with. He really, in my opinion, represented what Christ is all about.
And that is all we have for you tonight on the Capitol Report.
Safe. Senate Republicans have shifted their strategy to reopen the government and will now pursue full-year appropriation bills in order to end the shutdown. Our Washington correspondent, Luis Eduardo Martinez, has more on the Republicans' new approach.
Today, if it weren't for the bold leadership of President Trump helping us to protect our military, everyone needs to understand that 1.3 million active duty service members would be missing a paycheck. They'll get their check, thankfully, because President Trump has shown strong leadership.
The Trump administration has reallocated $8 billion of unused research and development funds from the Department of War to pay active duty service members during the government shutdown. Senate Republicans have now teed up a vote for this Thursday on the House-passed defense appropriation bill to try and secure annual funding for the Department of War during the government shutdown.
Republicans want to pay the troops, and we have shown that with our actions and our votes now 9 times. And the Democrats want to use them as hostages to extort $1.5 trillion in new, unserious partisan spending that we just won't go along with.
The new Republican strategy in Congress is to continue the regular appropriations process despite Democrats' intransigence to reopen the government. Democrats, on the other hand, insist on their messaging and demanding that their policy priorities be met in order to reopen government.
We are ready, we are willing, and we are able to negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement.
That's not bipartisan.
Of the American people. Reopen the government and decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis.
The Senate has already, on a bipartisan basis,
it's not a Republican healthcare crisis. It's yours.
Prepared to vote on a fourth one this Thursday.
Mr. President, Democrats attempt to defend their funding blockade by complaining that Republicans won't negotiate. But what exactly is there to negotiate?
Negotiation happens when you have two sides, each with its own demands. Republicans have no demands.
The vote on the defense appropriations bill this Thursday also served as a pressure point on moderate Democrats who have already said they want to see the regular appropriations process play out to fund government. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
The administration can keep federalized Guard members in Illinois, but cannot deploy them. For a take on the situation from Chicago residents, NTD's Daniel Monahan spoke with the organization Chicago Flips Red.
Flipping Chicago Red, flipping Chicago Red.
Chicago Flips Red defines itself as a grassroots movement aimed at empowering Black communities and advocating for economic and political independence. Co-founder Zoe Lee says her activism began after the city demolished her family's building in 2017.
Finally, when I realized I was going to continue to get ignored while I was there, I told them that if they did not settle this case, I would flip Chicago Red.
Lee argues that Democratic leadership has failed Black communities in Chicago.
This is a Democratic stronghold, blue stronghold, dictatorship. Everything that they say Donald Trump is exactly what this machine is here. And everybody's connected, from the judges, the lawyers, the prosecutors, the city council, the teachers union, the police union. It's just one big fraternity sorority that's dedicated to the machine.
She supports bringing in the National Guard to Chicago.
We have a genocide in our own community, in the city of Chicago, the south side and the west side, and it's been there, it's normalized.
Lee says President Trump is the only one addressing those issues.
And it's unfortunate that that Trump has to do it, but Trump has to do it. He can't help that he's white. He can't help that he came from a privileged life. You know, he can't help that he was a businessman. He can't help, but he can't help any of that. But what he saw was, I think, what anybody else saw was an issue with the whole United States of America. We were going to lose this country.
She also criticizes the city's handling of the migrant crisis, saying it's displaced longtime residents.
We're losing businesses by the hour. Regular Chicago citizens can't even get an apartment. They can't even get a house because everything is designed to only take care of these illegals because the city is paying it.
Lee believes illegal immigration is being weaponized politically against Trump.
They're using illegal aliens, but they're all putting it on Donald Trump, who literally inherited a crisis, and he's the only one that does not blame it on. He doesn't say, well, I inherited this. Nah, I'm going in there and I'm going to take care of it.
She also accuses state leaders of ignoring community concerns.
And we don't even know. And then when we go to our elected officials like Pritzker and Brandon Johnson and Connie Raul, they act like what we're saying is a lie. They're literally getting on TV, doing these press conferences, and acting like everything that we're saying is an outright lie, knowing that everything we're saying is true.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker recently warned that federal agents in Chicago could face future prosecution, speaking on Fox News.
The tables will turn someday. These people should recognize.
Homeland Security criticized those remarks, calling threats to prosecute law enforcement for enforcing the law disgusting. The agency said Pritzker's red
live in peace. The second example is
are caught on video. The California gubernatorial candidate is now speaking out and taking responsibility. Christina Corona has the details when we come back.
Okay, here we go, throw it. Yeah. You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Nice. Homeland Security have been busy with immigration enforcement, but some leaders in Los Angeles say their community is being disrupted and the county has declared an emergency. But Homeland Security says it's just protecting Americans. NTD's David Lamb reports.
Los Angeles County has declared an emergency this week over ongoing immigration raids by ICE. The emergency proclamation passed by a 4-1 vote on Tuesday, stating that raids, which started in June, have, quote, caused residents to be fearful of leaving their homes to go to work, take public transportation, and access county services. On the other hand, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told NTD, "This isn't the first time sanctuary politicians in Los Angeles have put lawbreakers ahead of Americans. The fact is, while these politicians play Russian roulette with American lives, ICE and Border Patrols are removing the worst of the worst from Los Angeles streets. Since operations began in June, ICE and Border Patrol have made more than 5,000 arrests in Los Angeles, including of gang members, rapists, thieves, and murderers. Our law enforcement should be thanked by the Board of Supervisors, not demonized." Los Angeles County has one of the country's largest immigrant populations. This week, Homeland Security said that Mexican cartels have placed bounties on ICE and Border Protection agents. But DHS warned on Tuesday that people who dox, threaten, or lay hands on their officers will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It said their officers are facing more than a 1,000% increase in assaults. Meanwhile, after a judge's order, crews have taken down a fence that surrounded an ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois. Protesters argue the fence was a safety hazard, but DHS says the fence was for protection. DHS said some of the detainees inside its Broadview facility were convicted of crimes, including assault with a deadly weapon, felony robbery, drug possession, and driving under the influence. First responders are implementing safety measures in the area to protect First Amendment rights and public safety. David Lamb, NTD News.
California gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter is making headlines after two viral videos capture her intense exchanges. In a recent interview, Porter says she wants her supporters to know she's owning up to her actions. NTD's Christina Corona has more.
Candidate and former lawmaker Katie Porter stated that she could have handled things better after viral videos surfaced showing tense exchanges with a reporter and a staffer. In one clip, Porter threatened to walk out on CBS California correspondent Julie Watts during an interview that went viral last week.
Well, to those voters, okay, so you... I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Thank you. You're not going to do the interview with them? Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask. Every other candidate has answered follow-ups. I don't care.
In another video obtained by Politico, Porter is seen using profanity at a staffer who was standing behind her during a 2021 meeting with the Biden administration.
And other problems, and the state could lose... Get out of my shot!
The staffer was trying to inform Porter about climate issues, but she also criticized the staffer for previously appearing in the background.
Paris Climate Accord. Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
Porter appeared on KTLA's Inside California Politics, which aired Tuesday night, to address the videos.
When I look at those videos, I want people to know that I understand that I could have handled things better. I think I'm known as someone who's able to handle tough questions, who's willing to answer questions. I think people who know me know I can be tough, but I need to do a better job expressing appreciation for the amazing work that my team does.
Porter says she wants voters to understand her reasons for running, highlighting her goal of ensuring California has a governor who will act firmly and address the state's affordability crisis. Porter also said this week that she had apologized to the staff member. While holding herself accountable for the clips, Porter said her supporters back her because they want a strong candidate who will fight for the state. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Massachusetts Congress in next year's Democratic primary, calling for what he describes as a new generation of leadership. In a campaign video, the 46-year-old Marine veteran said Democrats are stuck in the status quo and not fighting hard enough to win the future. Markey has served in Congress for nearly 50 years. He would be 80 when his next term begins. Moulton's campaign will focus on affordability, healthcare, and protecting democracy. The race sets up a high-profile generational clash in one of the nation's bluest states. Coming up in baseball, the Blue Jays have their backs against the wall as they face the Mariners tonight in Seattle. Dave Martin joins us to discuss when we come back.
AI girlfriend, and you say, hey, I've had a rough time. I'm really thinking about hurting myself. The AI now actually has a system to, watch for that. And, hopefully that means getting you help, not like in Canada where they say, hey, let me give you services to provide it for you. Hopefully it's more like they offer you help. We'll have to see how it works. But it says platforms must also disclose that interactions are artificially generated, and minors must be provided break reminders and prevented from viewing sexually explicit images generated by the chatbot. And what does that mean, basically? That means it's going to have some kind of age verification. What does that mean? It means some ID system. That means, of course, if you want to use these AI chatbots and probably other things, which we'll get into in a bit, you may have to start using your real identity on the internet. And that includes a lot of other issues. I'll get into that in a minute, but let me go over this first. It says platforms will be required to share protocols for dealing with self-harm and statistics regarding how often they provided users with crisis center prevention notifications to the Department of Public Health. It says legislation also establishes a prohibition against chatbots representing themselves as healthcare professionals. And that's a big deal, by the way, because you have some people who are turning to AI for diagnosis. Hey, AI, what mental health problem do I have today? Hey, AI, what do you make of this, weird bruise I have on my arm or something like that? AI, people are turning to AI for a lot of things. It's important the language here is they're talking about healthcare professionals overall, not just mental health, but healthcare overall. And so this could actually limit the use of AI for diagnosis across the board. Now it says this as well. Required age verifications by operating systems and app store providers to help prevent children from accessing inappropriate or dangerous content online. I'm going to go deeper into this in a minute, but this is the one part of this I'm really concerned about, because we see similar rules as this being put in place in the UK right now. They say it's about, protecting children from inappropriate or dangerous content. I mean, who wants kids looking at suicide ideation or pornography and things like that? The question is, how do you do it, right? How do you do it? Well, the way it looks is you put age verification. How do you verify age? A lot of sites already do it. What do kids do? They just select, okay, I'm 200 years old, let me in. The way they do it is they just type whatever they want. The only way you can properly ensure that kids are not viewing it is real identity, is digital ID. And we see this being rolled out in the UK already. I'll get into that in a minute, but let me finish this first. It says social media warning labels to help warn young users about the harms associated with extended use of social media platforms. I can get behind that. No more doom scrolling, no more endless scrolling. In other words, you have a time limit on it. Stronger penalties for deep fake pornography by expanding the cause of action to allow victims, including minors, to seek civil relief of up to $250,000 per action against third parties who knowingly or aid in the distribution of non-consensual, sexually explicit material. And that is a problem these days, because there are sites that offer this. You can take a picture of somebody and you can have these sites automatically generate, nude photos or videos of them. And non-consensual, sexually explicit material, if a person finds out you're doing it, they can sue you for it now. That's a very big deal. You might remember, actually, Taylor Swift tried suing some of these sites over it because people were generating fake, sexually explicit material about her. She was actually, I think, the first person to really bring a major lawsuit on this issue. And you do have that happening a little bit at the federal level. Actually, on the Biden side, they actually put laws in place to prevent people against, leaking sexually explicit images, even genuine ones. But they're also doing it now on AI generated ones. Now, it's not clear the actual limits to this. They're saying distribution of it. Does that mean the service providing you with it? That could be. This will probably have to go to courts, and so we'll see how it works, but I think it's a good thing. I think this whole technology is kind of creepy, to be honest, and not right. It's going to make society kind of weird if we keep going down this road. But it says guidance to prevent cyberbullying through requiring the California Department of Education on or before June 1st, 2026 to adopt a model policy on how to address reported acts of cyberbullying that occur outside of school hours, and requires local educational agencies to adopt the resulting policy or a similar policy developed with local input. I mean, this has some important uses. It also has some concerning elements tied into it. The biggest one being, how do you define bullying? Could bullying be like, you hurt my feelings today? Could bullying be like, your political views offend me? Could bullying be something like that?
Yeah, be that.
Could bullying be you called me by the wrong pronoun? And this may sound kind of far up, but we actually saw cases like this. We have actually seen people bring cases like this. And so in some regards, bullying has been defined like that. And what that amounts to then is like basically restrictions on free speech. Are you compelled to acknowledge a person's delusions? And so, it really depends on how they choose to address this, the guardrails they put in place to prevent violations of like free speech, and, what are the limits of that, right? This will be interesting to see how they roll it out. Another part they have is clear accountability for harm caused by AI technology by preventing those who develop, alter, or use artificial intelligence from escaping liability by ensuring that the technology acted autonomously. And this is important because there are some AI platforms that allow for the creation of like criminal content, and the way that they, basically don't have liabilities is say, okay, we don't retain data. We don't know who you are. You don't have to give us an email. You don't have to give us a name. And people use